I have to record this as one of my last principles. What I certainly missed to implement few more absolute level realizations, as for example, 2 millenniums of Buddha and Jesus protocol as a synonym of original versus betrayer within the protocol, bloodline within the family, even protocol, which translates into ball and chain, into playing golf, playing sport, playing the ball. So that would be one principle that will need to be noticed here, which bring forward or on the stage actually delivers principal imperial bloodlines as a mixed breed, not exactly as some kind of national platform. So that's critical momentum. That we talk about certain DNA protocol here that is very much about very specific features, very specific performance, and how the planet ended up to relate to such top performances, top temple houses. A planet exists from positions of some kind of hunters, and that is very much symptomatic, obviously, for the historic times where majority of population was more on the negative, more on the predatory stage, and exceptionalism would always be like a light that everyone would try to reach, to get close by and get enlightened, technically. Everything sums to that. The entire concept of monarchy actually emerges, and before that, sainthood, actually, which then becomes protocol monarchy, emerges exactly on parameters of exceptionalism for whatever reason. Accomplishment, later on, much more specific matter of accomplishment, and then everyone trying to reach that house, that lighthouse. Equally today is still happening with this enormous creation of immigrants that have been made to behave exactly like that, like everyone is out after the lighthouse. And that lighthouse in this mega international stage are mainstream civilizational platforms, still Western territories, and still fighting to remain lighthouses of the planet, where everyone would like to go, and everyone would be bringing their capital and their belongings and their presences. So we still cannot get out from that kind of sensational event upon which the civilization happens as a protocol, rather than much more steady, much more normal perspective in the way in terms of organizing territories and to more steady development, and seeing nations existing on parameters of more steady development. Still someone wants to create that kind of sensation of one lighthouse and everyone running after it. Either it is a sainthood, either it is monarchy, either it is today mainstream civilizational platform. That is to be noticed as a second principle emerging from the previous, and that is ball and chain protocol, or Jesus and Judah. Look how that develops now into lighthouse and everyone going after lighthouse. Still works on the parameters of sensationalism, creating sensationalism as the biggest money ball, and then as many people plugging into the money ball as users of the investment. So become basically very much financially driven platform. And also I'm going to notice that would be separate principle, that to be noticed that within this platform we can find also DNA game, where people continue to relate to mainstream DNA bank as a mainstream economic platform, as it is, for example, reference to upper to north flow, north road, or south road, in terms of references to either gas pipelines, majorly in reference to pipelines. So they're talking North Pipeline, they're talking South Pipeline. Basically, you don't have here reference to nation. You have reference to bloodline. And that would be principal imperial bloodline. That is, nations here become very much sliding within this kind of economic agreements. They make one with another on the same subject, and that is exploitation of mainstream. So we don't have here political conversation. We don't have here even conversation on political identity or on political boundaries. Without everything being summed into how you relate to mainstream, what that mainstream is about, and why certain territories continue to be present in managing or exploitation mainstream that involve couple of nations. Justification would be because these are mixed bloodlines, and the territories that are associated with such stream require to be involved in managing the stream because involve their territories on some kind of tail mark. So when you go in Kosovo and you have situation Kosovo versus Serbia, and you wonder why Kosovo is so much today fighting for temples and territory of Serbia, and Serbia continue to defend its integrity and its supreme value, trying to sell its a national identity as under supreme value flag, which by the way to most of the cases I'm supporting here. Yet it will need to be noticed also that we talk actually about imperial protocol and we talk about exploitation, and to the extent that I have not found Serbia standing on any other position but relating to the entire event as a matter of exploitation, I'm not going to grant to Serbia some kind of different or upper positioning in the entire matter, as like Serbia is stepping up here, because, while Serbia actually has not stepped up here on that particular matter, and that is what we continue to talk about, exploitation. And Serbia is not stepping up here. If Serbia was to step up here, I wouldn't be stuck for 20 years when I'm being stuck. But I'm being stuck when I'm being stuck because Serbia does not step up on this. Serbia is just the other side of the exploitation. And here the mainstream become obviously mixed bloodlines, which is the reason why Albanians are having that much of a presence, as it is basically Muslim world being representing, saying that's the stream where we have also credits and we claim also credits to that stream. Also, I'm bringing Temple of Mary much more of Catholic presence. So we have third wing here very strong, reappearing more intensively in the recent times. I'm not going to justify perspective of happening as exploitation, but regretfully because my opposition started to be on the field before I awakened. They have been preparing the field behind my back, and they have been charting territories, having their pipes all over the world. So I'm going to be very much skeptical how much I have real colors of South America present in all of this. Well, I'm trying to reinstate the temples, reinstate the history on much more correct terms, rather than we accept as a humanity to walk from positions of extracting our own history, our own ancestors, and then we talk about some kind of identity, either national political identity. Well, you can hardly defend any national identity position while you continue to harshly define yourself as exploitator of mainstream imperial bloodline. I'm going to notice here nations appearing as some kind of sliding field, washing themselves deliberately from their own integrity and identity, selling out their own significance, and subordinated everything to exploiting bloodline from which they have chosen to disassociate. And that is where they're losing the game, when they find themselves sitting on the other side of that equation. That is where they cannot notice that is how they actually fraction themselves from their own history and from their own identity, as long as they exist as opposing factor in all of this, as long as they exist as exploitators to such breed, to bloodlines that pass via their territories. They set themselves on the sliding doors as national identities equally, because if you don't bring strong point of valuation to your historic heritage, you become sliding door of the sliding plateau, as washed out without any identity of your own. This is important factor. I have been talking about importance of temples for the territories and how dangerous it is that nations continue to accept to walk on the other side of that equation without noticing what position they have taken in such case scenario. They have taken position of being nobody. That should be understood. We cannot talk Serbia heritage, Serbia identity, even Serbia as a nation, if they cannot stand on same side with me on what I do here. Simply, it's not happening. And then we have to notice the international efforts, pressure groups that would pressure certain territories, even if happen to have such intentions, to squeeze them out, because majority of the group still is in agreement to exploit principal bloodlines, because it works for them better in terms in which they have continued to build their societies and their realms. Here we have fake monarchies that found themselves in much more comfortable position, having personal guaranteed position, and then spending a lifetime hunting the original boy or girl that's going to be used in a collective manner at the squeezing point and shareholding of the squeezing the orange juice or squeezing whatever, and existing at the sharing point with permanently declared houses. And then, of course, we're not going to talk about King Arthur Protocol, because they don't need King Arthur Protocol. They prefer to have permanency. Of course, who would not like to think? Who would not like it? We cannot blame them. The ones to be blamed are the ones that are accepting and tolerating such protocols to continue to exist in the daylight in front of their eyes, and they still numbly not understand. I mean, nations also can be justified. Well, we have the currency, we have the lifestyle. Why on earth we care? Well, we care because you don't have actually the correct answer. You care as any criminal should care, because you live good today. But as a criminal, you cannot make promissory to your kids. That is what you should be taking care, maybe more about your actual positions, because it is not stable. And it is not stable because it does not exist on real rooting of the actual history, how actual history should be happening. All the way to America. They have taxes, but they don't have a man that goes with the land. And that is quite of a sliding door for America as well. Are we going to assume that, for example, Texas men depend on constant sliding doors, on constant fresh supply of some bodies from other territories? Because obviously the territory, land, does not care about maintaining its own population. They're hardly capable to create next generation. Either they're obese, either they're stupid, either they're neglected. Maybe Americans are not to be blamed for it, but their headquarters are to be blamed for it for sure. And everything becomes a business. And yeah, we read, there was some documentary going at the beginning of all of this. Someone, in order to create a business, you have to create the market for the product before you make a product. You have to create market for a product before you create product. And if you want human to be your product, you have to create a market for the product before you launch human as a product. and how you create market for the product. If you don't make certain territories not capable to bring forward their next generations properly. And these are vast territories also. It is true that they will always depend from proper communication and integration with the rest of the territories. Neither that has been done on proper terms. It is all functioning as some kind of sickness, and it is all existing in cooperation to the sick, evil scenario, where we are all going to play a stone, to stone the wreck and get what we need to get out of it. Human on the collective still exists on the herd level. And while human is being declared from the point of excellence. Well, we define human at the point of excellence. And we don't notice that human exists at the herd level. And that we have not worked out properly how we make all of that to work between where stands our fabulous human, we call human and humanity, and the herd of it. How they communicate. How they communicate. Can we please answer that question? And what intermediaries emerged out like mushrooms after the rain, trying to make business out of that communication, and existing as intermediaries in that communication, because they need to make money rather than to allow the leadership to provide playground how to make money. No, they jump here on their own and they decide on their own how they are going to make money. That's sabotaging of humanity. Sabotaging of humanity on principal account. It is simply sabotaging it. Here it is, my mega trajectory of the problem. Find yourself in this story. Find in this present projection. This is not story, it's real projection. Find now where is exactly your position in all of this. Exactly and precisely. Find now your position in all of this trajectory of reality as it is.